Howdy, howdy, y'all. Welcome to Trench Talk with me, your host, Lek, and with Fonzman. We are doing another 1 a.m. recording session, and Fonz is only able to be here for 45 minutes, but hey, you guys, I don't know. You're listening? Probably. Well, that's the only way you're hearing this, so I'm speaking to someone that's listening. But this
Hello,
is.
everyone. Yep. Uh,
Look, I feel like the intro's only gotten worse with
I
time.
mean, yeah. Well, yeah. It's me, Fonzie, and I'm being a responsible adult at 12 and recording a podcast with my friend Lek here instead of going
12?
to sleep and getting ready to go to
Wait,
it.
I thought.
It's
Aren't you EST?
no, I'm CST. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I don't. What?
You know, that could mean a lot of things. I could be in Ohio. I could be in Michigan. I could be in
Michigan is East Coast, though,
Wisconsin.
isn't it?
No, it's not. Not the paw. The paw of Michigan is
Like
CST.
West
Maybe.
Michigan would probably be Central, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but like
probably
East,
West Michigan,
I'm
but
pretty sure
easier.
Eastern Michigan is like
I
Eastern
don't know.
time, right?
Like the whole U.S. time system. Then you have California that's 2 hours behind, 3 hours behind.
And
Again,
time's weird. Time and
mm-hmm.
relative time is weird. But hey, that
Yes.
we're not here to discuss
That's
the
time zones with CGT
existentialism
time
of time
capping
zones. We're here to talk
or
about
day
Foxhole, Mr.
capping.
Fonz.
All right. Anyways, yeah. Okay. What are we discussing today, Lek?
We are discussing break wars. Wow, what an interesting topic. I wonder why we're doing this. Yeah, so this is actually a topic I kind of wanted to discuss like shortly after last episode aired. And we recorded these on the weekend and then they're out on Wednesdays, so this was only recently at the time of recording, but it would have been a week before this goes live. But essentially, this is a thing I've been thinking about for a little bit before any of the Warden comeback stuff happened, where they took at the moment of recording, it's a lot of Moors. They've retaken Basin. They're in Howling. They've retaken Farnack, and they're pushing in Westgate, and they've taken Ashfields and are pushing in Red River. But ignoring all of that, let's take it back. Why are we talking about this? Because we're in the middle of a little bit of a dry season. The last update was kind of small. It had some vehicle improvements, some rebalances, and two new vehicles. But on the whole, kind of a small update, right?
Yeah,
So, we're here today to
sure.
talk to you about what that means and what our thoughts are on how the next few months are going to go, because frankly speaking, we're, like I said, a bit of a dry spell. We don't know. Well, we do know. We know that nothing's going to be happening for a while. So what does that mean to be a Foxhole player for us or for maybe you? Mr. Fonz, I have a lot to say on this topic, but that means I want to hear what you got to say even more, because I don't care about what I think. I want to hear you.
So with break wars, I've always been one to say that, and I've noticed this a lot more where there's specific individuals on both factions who will call break wars, and there will be people who will say break wars are beneficial, and I've seen this on both sides as well, by the way. Where they say, well, if we go on break or if we take a strike from the game, or just because you're losing a war, and I understand this, it's a very healthy thing in Foxhole to take a break. Okay, you can't stay on and you can't be like terminally online playing wars 24/7, right? Otherwise, it's gonna erode at your mental health. You're gonna become a loyalist kook, and you're gonna be stupid. It's definitely okay to take breaks. All right, let me say this, but to try to use break wars and claiming break wars to sort of disparage, or like disparage might be the wrong word, but sort of dilute like dilute a team's victory after winning. Oh, we're just on break, you guys still suck, we're just on break. I think that's very toxic, and I think that's shitty in the community, in my opinion. I think that needs to be done away with on both teams. And I also think that people who want to take break wars or say don't try this war, because if we don't try this war, the devs will see that we need help and they'll want to balance it out. We'll get OP tools to fuck with, and that sort of that adds to power creep, and that ruins the game overall more than fixes it. It's fixing a temporary problem and will lead quicker to the decay of Foxel, because um and this is something that's very important, you know, and I'm going to talk about this incredibly passionately because I love Foxhole as a game. I played it for 5 years. Like you've played it for a long time. There's a lot of people
Ye-
who listen to this who are very passionate about the game, and I'm a very passionate player regarding Foxhole, and I think um I think we all need to stop that sort of mentality of well, we need to be better than the other team. We need to do this because it does nothing but decay at our community and decays at well, like the health of the game, right? Because I mean, the Foxhole community really has some issues like on Reddit and on other and not really on FOD. FOD isn't that bad, you know. I add to some of the issues of FOD by being a shit poster and
No,
just
you
shitting
you
at
you
channels like
improve it.
Capybaras. Do I? I don't
You
know
improve it.
if I do.
You make everyone's day better when you pop in there, my man.
But with that, right, with you know, what was I saying? Sorry, I lost my train
You
of
were
thought
talking
there.
about the deterioration of the game via
Oh, the
break
deterioration of the
wars.
game. Yeah, yeah, via break wars. So if people do that and sort of give up, like it's okay to take a break if you feel dejected, but I think overall people need to take the game and sort of faction loyalism a lot less seriously, and that will only increase their enjoyment and everyone's overall enjoyment, in my opinion. I think we need to shed the um a lot more of the Warden Dave it's us versus them and sort of add in a good faith dialogue because I hate having bad faith discussions with like the reason why I don't like talking balance in Foxhole discussion and FOD and you'll find me trolling in there a little bit sometimes with shit or just calling people cooked is because people when they're in the normal Foxhole discussion channels aren't expected to have good faith arguments but if you go over to not game feedback because game feedback's filled with shitters sometimes but whenever a dev branch comes out and it's actively being moderated, that channel, the feedback channel, I will always post in there my feedback, my ideas, and I'll engage with people because usually most of the time that's a moderated area where you're not going to have people where it'll devolve into people insulting each other and then just saying like ridiculous shit, right? That won't even. It's just you get what I'm saying there, like
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that
I
area.
well, I can speak to this. I can say I actually think that despite the insults, I think you get more generally good faith conversations on like Foxhole discussion versus the like dev branch channels and stuff because I think with the dev branch channels people are somewhat incentivized to be more hyperbolic because that makes it more likely that like you actually get a change that you want even if it's like the whole the whole like
Yeah,
fucking when you're making a deal you want to like as a businessman myself, as a rich individual in character and in monetary wealth,
yeah,
you gotta know how to like persuade people to being a bit more favorable by being a bit like, oh, we should go really far, and then you get a little bit, hey, well, you still got an improvement, right? That's you got to look at it like that. But the thing is that I do agree with what you're saying in terms of like stuff won't devolve to like insult matches and whatever on the dev branch stuff. But I do think I FOD is weird because like FOD is just a general like open area where it entirely depends on who's talking. Where if you're gonna get like, there's a shitload of like very cool individuals on FOD who you can get some great like convos with, and 90% of the time you're gonna agree on like basically everything. Though there might be like a little bit like of there'll obviously be like disagreements on like what should be focused on or maybe the
yeah.
focus of like a specific discussion, but for the most part, yeah. But to get
Mhm.
back to what you all the whole deterioration of
Yeah, so
yeah.
I think a lot of the games community is sort of deteriorating, right? Where it's obvious on both sides, and I mean this is going to be a bit of a maybe a bit taboo here for some people, but if you go on the slash VM thread on, and of course it's
No, no,
4chan, so
no.
people are gonna shit post on it, right? But if you go on 4chan, you look at the VM thread, and you look at the sort of the community that's fostered around it. It's full of it's just
Who
I mean, of course, people
cares?
go full mask off because it's anonymous, but it's still just like people talk about, oh yeah, I actively grief my team to
I think
ruin this game, and
you're
then
doing a bad thing where you're taking Chan boards seriously, Mr.
I don't know.
Fonz man.
It's
I
that,
gotta say,
but we
I
see.
cannot.
Let me like go back to what was that one war where it was Spud versus Arson that time,
The Faranac one
the Faranac War, exactly. And
was
do you
that
remember?
War
Yes,
85?
War 5. Yes, war something like that. And my
It was not 83. I distinctly remember it was one that Collies won, and it was around the time
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
half track change, if I
But
recall.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was the exact update. That was the update war, the half track change. I remember
Yeah.
that because that was the last good war Arson was good in. No offense to any ex Arson members, but you know.
Oh, we got drama.
Anyways, yeah, drama right there. But like what I was saying is, I mean, you remember all the fucking griefing that people did by building, like they built tier 1 sections and then that blew up the tier 1 sections on the storm cannons and shit like that, right? Or they placed AT and howitzers the wrong way on purpose, like because they could edit the
Yeah, yeah. I
bunkers
think that
and shit.
I don't know
I
if
think there's definitely 100, and I mean even with the like the recent two alts that got caught in the thing where they whispered they whispered they got caught and they whispered, well, you guys fucking alt too. I think that's all sort of a symptom of this, right? Or it all stems from this with the degrade. What I'm trying to say with the community sort of deteriorating against one another, right? Like, does that make
yeah.
sense? Like, I
Well,
think
I to frame this back towards more about like break wars in a
Burnout,
second.
yeah.
For now, I'm gonna like take. I'll do that in a second, but like to take things at face, I think that when you get people like that, I think the people that are gonna alt are the kind of people where they're literally the kind of people that are imposters among us, right? They are they're the kind of people where they'll project their behavior and their kind of like antisocial behavior onto everyone around them, where they'll think that because I'm doing it because the enemy does it, and I know that the enemy has to do it because of course they do, and of course I do because of course they do, and like I don't know the specific event that you're talking about, but I think that that's like a thing with alts, and in terms of anything to do with alting and griefing, I have to I that's all that's entirely due to like lax enforcement, I think, and I don't. The part of the problem is that the devs don't tell us about their enforcement, which honestly I got no qualms about. But like, at least I've got no qualms about that anymore. I just wish that like when you see a griefer pop up and you look at their violation log and you see like 5 to 10 posts where they've been previously banned and this person is somehow not been permabanned and you're seeing them actively grief again and again and again, it's a bit frustrating because like let's be real here, if someone got banned like 5 to 10 times in a row and then like and you'll see it because it'll all be about the same time. It'll all be about 360 or 400 days to like 200 days, and then suddenly there will be like a spike or like just a giant drop where there's nothing, and then suddenly they'll be back to griefing because it's like I don't know if it's like I feel like the devs need to be more common with like permabans on obvious like alt accounts because I feel like permas are reserved only for like special cases and that's a bit annoying. But anyway, to frame it this back to the whole deterioration of the community and the break war stuff,
Hmm.
I certainly think that the everything feels like there's this sort of sense where everyone is entirely like an actor. No one is willing to like well, not no one. Okay, let me be very particular here. Not no one, but there's people, and the crazies that you'll meet are the people that will be so loyalism pilled to the point where they will actively act and they'll be putting on a show to try and like do something for like some apparent social reason. That's incredibly vague, but like to be more specific, like with the topic of break war, when people claim break war or their entire faction is on break war, they discount the people that are still playing and they kind of make it like seem like you're trying to downplay the other team winning, right? And
Hmm.
functionally for me, I think break wars are no problem. I think the thing is that when you talk about break wars, what you really need to do is like there's a difference between a personal break and like a community break or like a faction or a clan break, right? Because a personal break is like every single fucking Foxhole player should take a personal break. There is no reason why any single player should play every fucking week 24/7 every fucking day for like 5 hours a day. It's unhealthy and you need to do something else. Okay?
Well,
But
well,
what?
like to add on to that, we have the in Som armor specifically, all the other branches of infantry, artillery, logistics, and builders. They don't got cool rules like we do, but we have 6 rules in Som armor. Rule number 3 is get outdoors, and rule number 4 is take time for yourself. And
Yeah.
I sent like the 2 images. If you guys ever
I'll
want the 6 rules of Psalm armor, they will never let you down. You will always succeed. Just message me on Discord, and I'll send you the 6 rules of Psalm armor. But
no. Yeah.
but to get back into it, yes, I completely agree. Like it's definitely okay to like take breaks, dude. Like
Well, no,
it,
I wasn't. I wasn't looking
or
for.
sorry,
I wasn't looking. That's not a. I. That wasn't me
oh,
making any controversial statements. I.
I know. But,
I'm just. I mostly mean like. I think the part that I'm trying to like specify here is that
here,
when clans take breaks, it's kind of a bit weird. Like it depends though, because certain clans have to take breaks because they're just not big enough. But then certain
yeah,
clans can afford to because they can
okay,
swap out officers, and then all their individual players can just individually on their own take breaks. But like you get this kind of sort of maybe not tribalistic, but sort of group sort of it's the thing where it's like one person does it and then it's like when someone walks into a room and just vomits and then someone else vomits and then suddenly everyone's fucking vomiting. It's kind of like that, which I
no,
know is a bit of a weird whatever,
that's like
but
a peculiar.
or yawning is a less gross example, right? Because you see someone yawn and then it's involuntary. Suddenly you're yawning, right? And it's like that with people taking break wars. I feel like. Hey, actually, do you have anything else to say on that, real quick? Because I actually want to talk a little bit about this war's timeline.
Yeah, sure. Let's. I mean, go ahead. Go. I mean,
Okay,
I haven't really
so
got anything else about
yeah,
Break Wars. I got.
I just want to take a second to applesauce the few wardens, like, because the wardens that were playing like the whole time and like have managed to hold like your faction together while you guys were not playing for like a week. Um, though to get specific, what I saw personally, I stopped playing this war around the time of the last episode. Um, but I still follow along with it on Foxhole stats and like FOD and Sigil and shit, right? But what I
Mm-hmm.
personally saw was that on day 1 through about 3, wardens were hardcore, like fairly like day 1 and 2, the population was basically equal. At certain points, one team or another, I definitely saw wardens had like max pop when I logged in. Um, which was not at war start, but like 5 or 6 hours later. And I know you guys had fairly good pop up until day 3 or so, and you guys had a fairly sizable like vet players still actually playing from what I could tell. And that's the reason why you guys held on to like a few MPF towns and slowed up like the colonial advance into a few places. But it's also to do with like tech, why stuff is like slowed down, because it's kind of impossible for a superior like set of manpower to like finish a war till satchels. Like you basically have to not play at all for a war to end, and it's because the few wardens that were playing, uh, I say few, but it was like if I had to guess, I'd say like it was about 60% to seventy
Well,
percent of the colonial pop. I don't have an exact like figure.
you know what? They're still gonna lose, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
We're
hey,
gonna
hey, hey, hey,
win.
hey, we
We're
don't.
gonna win.
I
No,
want us to win, but
of
frankly,
course.
I, I would still put it
No,
at
I
I put
gotta
a
applaud. I gotta applaud DK. DK with their dude. Their Saturday op was pretty a lot of fun to play against. Man, their Westgate and today too.
I'm sad I missed
Uh,
that because I would have loved
yeah.
to. They like they did
No,
some
they had,
good fucking pushes. I gotta
yeah, they
like
did
like
it,
I said,
the Longstone tap.
I can
The s-
applaud them, but I you
dude
know who
that.
I applaud more? I applaud the people that actually played the whole fucking week,
Yeah,
which I know there were a few
sure.
people that were actually doing that. So
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, HOC has been showing face, which is, it's good there.
yeah.
There's still Spud. Spud did a good tap op today at Kingstone. I came up with my tanks and killed it. Not bragging there. I'm just trying to explain Spud. I don't want to be BM, but
Spud are fairly good
killed
when
it.
Moy
But
Dog
they
isn't around.
gotta,
That's my
yeah. I
take.
mean, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything further on that, but
Hey, it's no secret. I'm not a fan of. Well, I'm not like Pi. Pi absolutely abhors streamers. I just
yeah,
dislike a few
it's
of
it's
them.
not that I don't like it's not that I don't like streamers. It's just like I don't like streamers complaining about games. You get what I'm saying? Or use it? 'Cause I
Yeah.
think it provides because I mean we saw it with Summit especially where some and I mean fair enough it was a good change what he was complaining about but he was still using his popularity to kind of like brute force the devs and I think that sets a bad standard. If you get what I'm saying with that,
Well, no,
right?
no,
Like
yeah.
imagine
It's like,
Asmongold picks up this fucking game and he's like, "Oh,
God,
this is
please no,
stupid." Yeah,
please God
please
no,
keep Asmongold away from this game,
please
dude.
God
Fuck
keep
me.
keep the
Nothing. I hope
MMO.
Moydog is the biggest streamer who remains. I'll say that.
Genuinely, I will personally like I
Summit
will
can come back every
personally
couple wars.
I will
But
personally drive Moy Dog around and like give him constant commends daily in a train for a year if he is the like if he is the thing that keeps out like bigger worse streamers, okay? I did and let me be clear. I don't like Moy Dog. I think it's funny cuz like he constantly does this shit where he like there was this one thing he did a thing where it was like he gave a half-assed apology and then the very next day was like shit talking and like making it like I can't believe you would believe that apology or some shit. That's not a quote. That was kind of the attitude and the actions he was doing. It was basically like haha fuck you you thought kind of thing, but
are you
uh
talking about the war where he came colonial and then?
yeah. Where he's like, I just helped and like scrapped and shit, and then like the next day he was like shit talking relentlessly or something
It,
like that.
I, it's whatever. It's just
Yeah,
loyalism got Moydog. That's all it is, man. That's like actual true loyalism got them. It's whatever.
it's very
He'll snap.
funny.
I mean, he's he's like at that point of his Foxhole stage, right, where you're 1.5k hours in, or you're this is from experience right here. No offense, like you might not have this, but where you become there's a point in your Foxhole career or your Foxhole time, the amount of time you put in, where you will become a fanatical loyalist.
Me,
Fireblade is a good example of this. Mosenfile on the Colonial side is a good example of this.
yep.
I was a good example of this back in the day. Apollo, Teep, all these old Colonials, you, like, I'm sure, had your moments
For me
fucking
it was
escaping.
like I think it was
We're
like
yeah.
I think I stopped it about a year and a half ago.
Mm.
Sometime around it was like I can definitely like look back to early arms race and definitely say I still had a little bit of loyalism brain there. It weaned off like as things became like as I got like the longer arms race, the longer we've gotten past arms race, the more I've realized just like I've kind of become this I've become this person that's realized not that like the other team has actual human beings that aren't like so different from you and I or some bullshit like that. I've known that for a long fucking time. That's never been the issue. It's more of just a thing of like you like you get this point where the balance is less terrible than it was in early arms race and you like listen to some people that aren't so like there's a few like more it's kind of this thing where it's like there's a wave that sort of happened of like new more pragmatic more like kind of compra like
Complainy, you know.
complaining no like more
No.
looking to
Oh.
compromise type people.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were referring to like that new
No,
generation of
no.
loyalists who just
That is
complain
absolutely a
about
thing too.
everything.
That is
Yeah.
absolutely a thing too.
Well,
But
that
if
was
you
kind of
want
what
to
I'm
talk
saying
like
with.
peak, if you want to talk peak like cope and seethe posting, people think it's bad now, bro. The first like from the release of Arms Race till Winter Army was an absolute fucking trip. If you go back, the amount of like absolutely absurd shit that happened like with people like people were justifying all kinds of terrible balance. Oh my god, it was
Mm.
funny. But
Silverhand having 40 meters, 68, dude. That
no,
shit
the
was
the 40 meter
fucked.
68 was like it was mostly just the fact that it was the only medium tank in the game,
Well, yeah, I
or
mean, dude, do you
like
remember when the ballista first came? I feel like we've talked about this before. Have we talked about
we've
how when the
definitely talked.
ballista
Yeah,
first?
we talked about
Yeah,
this.
the
I
ballista
think
was
episode.
disgusting. Never mind. Yeah, we
Wait,
won't go back
how
on that
why was it disgusting again?
because it did like shitty damage when it
Oh, the
first came
potato
out. It
gun.
was
Yeah, yeah.
awful.
We
Yeah, the
talked about this
potato
last.
gun. Yeah,
We
yeah,
talked about
yeah.
this last week. Yeah,
Oh
potato
yeah,
gun.
but yeah. But
It was
anyways,
no, yeah.
um,
There was the potato gun ballista, and the Silverhand was like an actual medium, and it was the only medium in
hmm
the game. And then the LTD happens, and I'm not gonna lie, so I think LTD versus Silverhand was balanced, but only because of the fact that like the Colonials did not have something. Did the Colonials didn't have a medium? But we did
yeah.
have the counter to the medium, and so it was balanced in this absurdly fucking stupid way, where it wasn't actually balanced, but it was like in terms of power level between the sides, it was kept in check with this weird fucking
Because
system,
you guys, well,
and then
it's the same
like
thing with like Smelter versus HV40, in my opinion, with that. But that matchup is like weirdly balanced, right?
well, no.
So
I mean, like they're balanced, but like they're not balanced as they go against each other, right? Like
yeah,
Smelter's better for anti-tank. H340 is a better generalist, and yada yada. But like, you look back at like early arms race, and you're like, holy shit, the devs had no fucking clue what they were doing. They
yeah.
were just it was band-aid fix after band-aid fix, and you really came to like understand, or at least I did, after like a round entrenched, where I was like, holy shit, when they said like they that things were gonna, because I remember them saying something to the effect of that a lot of like planned vehicles didn't actually make the cut in the initial arms race, because they didn't have the development time for it. When they said that, and I just like I I realized that so much when I like reflected on it after like a year of arms race when Entrench launched, right? And
hmm
I was just like, you know, you're absolutely right. None of this was okay. Every single thing back in early arms race was so unbelievably like absurd to just look at. Like, I mean, comparing it to BTs, I think everything was a lot less like it was a lot more toned down than BTs, but relative to each other after the removal of BTs, nothing made sense. Everything was dumb. The one thing I would like to ask the devs on is because do you tell me if I'm making this up. There was a
hmm
quote they had where I think Mark had said, or it might not have been Mark, but someone said something to the effect of that making new vehicles is really easy since Arms Race, where they like redid a whole bunch of the stuff for how they create vehicles to make it so that they can easily do it, like something like that, right?
hmm
That
Yeah.
sounds that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not exactly sure, but
Okay. I
that's
my
probably right.
I have a
You're a
million
smart
fucking
man,
like
Mark.
dev quotes and dev answers on random
Yeah.
shit, and that's just one of them. And and the thing is, I don't know if it's correct because you could end up Mandela affecting yourself or whatever. But this is something where it's I look at I look at this shit where it's like, okay, if the devs could theoretically make stuff a lot easier, why did we not have like half of this stuff in like a follow-up update like right after? And I mean, I don't know, it's probably cuz they like having a new vehicle every update for people to get excited about, but I gotta say, it feels like tankers get all the attention, and then like
Well,
infantry gets some, and then scrapping and building just kind of. Have you seen the image I made? Probably
dude, they
not.
need to like. Do you remember when people would get hyped about defenses back, like when the
Yeah.
like the sunken pillbox was revealed to be like
I
released? Holy shit! Like,
I
dude,
I
I
remember
think they
people
need to
got
do that. Just
somewhat
start
hyped.
adding buildings. Like,
Yeah,
they need to add
yeah.
like
People got
the
super hyped about engineering center too, because it's like, oh my
yeah,
god, we finally get this thing that isn't a fucking storm
yeah,
cannon,
the intel center. Yeah,
or
yeah.
isn't just like defense spam, and it was
hmm
so cool. And then it was the only thing we got, um, and
Well,
it's
you should be
like,
able to do this Well, if the weather system is random, you should be able to build like not maybe not like you could add smaller structures, right? Like a 2x2, right? You have
Yeah,
build a
yeah,
two
yeah.
by two and it's a meteorology station or it's like a
Yeah, or
weather
like
station,
meta,
right? You
or
can
like
throw
a
in
they
rain,
could do like two
like
by twos, one by twos, like different
yeah.
modular like things that need like
Hmm.
a certain like maybe it's a two by three, maybe a two by two, one by two, generally square or rectangle shapes, nothing too fancy, and then just have
Yeah.
those like be like little things that you could do, or like little things that you would see maybe in the back lines, but like maybe you could have like stationary cranes like the ones that you get in like logi towns that have like a shitload of range or like stuff like
Hmm.
that. There's so many like existing
Well,
assets that are like that, maybe not
there's also
existing
like
assets, but
I'm a big fan of. I think since Fox is a sandbox game, I think you should be. There needs to be more like environmental building. I think right where like if wardens want to like in their bunker base or whatever in their clan base, if someone wants to erect a statue of like Callahan or like a rest like or like at the new like in the new like Theomaro's grave, like if a colonial wants to build like one of those big swords or like something. I think there should be more vanity items for builders too, right? Because I think that
eh,
would that
I didn't
might
think you were
I
a
don't
role
know.
player. I so
I'm not a role player, but I think
you
it
sound
would
like a
give
role
people.
player.
I sound like a role player, but I'm saying that because it would make people would get excited about like making shit like that,
I'm
right? You
not
get what I'm
saying they
saying?
wouldn't.
But
I'm just for
yeah,
me personally, it's like I want more functional stuff, right? Like
yeah, I do
vanity
as
is
well. But
okay, but like what I really could like what I really want is I really want some like actually cool stuff. And that's what I'm hoping we get with 1.0 is like some like I said, tankers and shit. They've been given all like they've been drip fed
well, we
like
should still
content
get
for
the
the
love,
past
you know.
2
Where,
years, right?
God damn it,
What?
armor is what moves the field. God damn it,
Fuck
so we should
you.
be getting
We
our shit. Yeah,
you
that happens.
motherfuckers. I say this as someone that does like 20 like 40% of my time is tanking. You motherfuckers have been drip fed fucking tank content for a year and a half or like a year and 9 months or some shit, right? Like you guys like compare
Mm.
that to builders who got like entrenched, which was oh you can dig in, you can like reshovel stuff, but there was no terrain issue fix where you're
Dude,
constantly running into terrain issues.
look at these
Like
cool
there was
pallets you
no
can't make
new
inside
like modular
factories.
structures. You got pallets
Yeah,
which are cool, but then you got no QOL for pallets, and pallets still kind of suck to this day.
yeah.
And it like you get all this shit for builders where it's like okay, but when is the job gonna of a builder gonna be more interesting or easier? And the answer is it's not, and that sucks because oh my god, building sucks, and I will not build until it doesn't suck, and we don't know when that'll be. But like,
Yeah.
what to get back to Burnout, I this is I'm gonna take it a little bit personal. Or no, not a little bit. This is all personal. Why I'm not playing Foxhole till 1.0. Everything I just mentioned about like logi building and shit, this is all like stuff that has not been hardly touched in the past 2 years. I mean, it has, but on the level of that versus how much like tanks, for example, have changed in the past 2 years. Tanks have gotten a shitload of changes. The armor changes. The fucking like a shitload of new vehicles. A bunch of new anti-tank changes. The whole game revolves around like tanks, and although I like tanks, I want something else to do. Okay, because I like look. I like tanking as much as the next guy, but when 90% of the like when tanking is locked behind either theft or doing an unbearably boring activity, I'm just gonna steal, okay, or mooch. There's no chance that like the problem is that the best content in Foxhole is gated behind an unfun activity, right? No one wants to go like comp field or like scrap shit for like 40 mil or for BMATs for your tank kit or like to make your gas mat. No one wants to do that shit except the people that don't want to do anything because they just want to like and there are people like that, but for the people that actually enjoy doing something and like thinking and like not like there people some people like Zen experience, but I don't. Okay, if I want a Zen experience, there's other things I'd do other than Foxhole. I'd literally just go throw myself like ragdoll, like a Gmod ragdoll out my fucking back door. Okay, like lie in the middle of an alleyway kind of thing. But if it's like if I'm actually wanting to do something, which I am in Foxhole, I want to be doing something, you know? What do you do? Why do you not play like Logi and shit? You just find it boring too?
So I don't do logistics number one because I'm in a clan, and I don't like. Well, I just don't like doing logistics.
You are the
That's it.
ultimate
It's not.
mooch.
Yes, I am. I mean, I back in the day I was willing to do and I burnt myself out on Logi. I've probably only done under in like my 3 to 4K hours in Foxhole. I've only done like maybe 120 hours of logistics. If you, man, I don't even know if you can do raw hours because the main time I would do logistics is when I was farming tech parts for BTs back in the day. But even then, after joining SOM and after joining Vox, it was literally just like I mooched. That's it.
Yeah.
I mooched
I
off. Like
mean,
I would just get free shit. Like I remember like when the mechs came out. Centurion, I was in Vox and I just like Tanker just gave me a fucking Centurion because I was in Vox and I was
I
like,
remember
okay,
that. I
sweet,
think
like, you know.
was I ever in a mech with you? I think I was
You
once.
might have been because I was with Cotton Ball and Toyo Tail. No, it was me, Thought
Nah,
Destroyer, Cotton Ball, and Toyo Tail
was
inside
not
my
me then.
mix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
like I on topic for burnout. It's like yeah,
yeah,
I'm like oh we actually never we were talking about this before we started,
yeah.
but we were gonna specify like community burnout versus gameplay burnout.
Mhm,
90% of the stuff we're talking about here is like I am feeling gameplay burnout at the moment, mostly because there hasn't been a meaningful update in a while, and nothing has really shaken up the gameplay or fixed the issues I have or added new and interesting gameplay since Entrenched. And even that, like, and most of the time the updates are just interesting enough to keep me playing, but not like to shake my perspective on it. And naturally, everyone's going to have gameplay burnout if they don't take breaks, right? And this is why I take personal breaks and why I'm like one of the most casual vets, right? Is because like functionally, I don't want to burn out because I really like Foxhole, so I don't want to like go super hard. Um, but right now, when there's been so little change and future like the biggest update that could theoretically at least I highly doubt it'll fix the problems, but it'll probably make a decent dent in them. Hopefully, if it's gonna be good, make a dent in them, right?
mhm.
But we don't know. We don't really know if it will. And so I'm kind of just waiting because I think the problems are there enough, and I think that I just frankly it's too much time to spend on Foxhole when there's other games I could be playing like in prep or like I'm going to save my energy for 1.0 and I probably recommend most people do because if you think this war like if you weren't playing this war, which I'd say is a fair few people, you probably also don't want to play next war or the war after that because let's be real here. There's going to be another two wars before the next update, okay? We've still got like I think they said 2 to 3 weeks on the dev stream like about or 2 to 3 months on like on the dev stream. I think it was June 15th. So the earliest you're going to see a dev stream, not the update, a dev stream about the update is going to be like late August. And I don't think that's like personally I would not like stress myself out super hard. Find what you want to do and don't do it. What are you doing, Fonzie though? Cuz I imagine that like you're still going to be playing.
Well, man, you'll always find me tanking, dude. That's like, there's something else about Fox. And what the thing is, what I find in Fox, I was talking to Ahegao Face or Trap the other day about this. Um, he's an ex-Fox guy, nice guy, I like him. But fucking nah, he's an asshole. Take that tongue in cheek there, my
I,
friend.
I I'll say
But
this. I don't have like a super strong opinion on the guy, but he thinks I hate him.
he thinks you hate him. Yeah, I don't know.
I
But
so I blocked him with a bunch of other people for
okay.
what?
Yeah. No, no, okay. I mean,
No, no, no,
I
I
don't.
blocked him with
Yeah.
a group of other people that just
Yeah.
were trolling. So
Trolling
I don't
you.
know.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't like, I
Nice.
don't hate the guy. I thought, I don't know. Before I had him blocked, I found him to be, I don't know, usually like negative, but usually pretty like, that's pretty true. Speaks kind
Yeah.
of facts, but always a little bit on the pessimistic side, which was a
Hmm.
bit, grating. But anyway, what were you
But
saying?
back, yeah, back. What was I talking about before this? With what was the
You were
topic?
talking about tanking in Foxhole, and you're
Tanking in
gonna keep
Foxhole.
doing it.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna keep doing it because I was talking to Trap about this. This is right, yeah.
Yeah,
So I it's not that I enjoy tank combat in Foxhole. It is I do enjoy tanking. I do enjoy flanking, getting kills. Doing all that. That's a lot of fun. Supporting infantry. My God, I love the aesthetic of combined arms in Foxhole. When the infantry are running next to you, you're covering them, blowing up stuff for that. That is by far one of my best favorite things about this game. It's something I fell in love with, and I love the aesthetic of sticking, head out of a hatch. I love that shit,
the
dude. But
rancher is actually
freaking
so fucking cool for that. If you're in a
yeah,
like town
hmm
fight in like a major city too.
yeah,
I was MG gunning for a rancher when we were pushing
hmm
Vipers last war. Shit
and
was
this is
fun as
Quadish,
fuck. You get like
yeah,
there was this house that was blocking, like we couldn't advance without being under threat of like anti-tank from the front. Um and because of that, there was this one house that we could not cover the access route to, meaning that the enemy kept streaming through this house and we needed our infantry to cover it. But you might be able to guess infantry in Foxhole are incredibly stupid and don't understand the basic idea of holding a position. And when it was working, when I had, I think it was Rhodes go ever on, cool dude. I think he was covering us briefly. It was either him or a different raid guy. They were covering our flank,
hmm
and for that brief moment, we were able to like do a little bit more poking and shit, and then we got them a little bit more territory. We ran up some dudes, wrenched some mines, took care of the AT position that they had, and then we like started creeping up, and that shit's really cool in cities. But like, yeah, I think I like you say, Foxhole's got some, it's got some stuff that really like really sinks your teeth into it, or really, you can really sink your teeth into it. Is what I'm trying to say. And
yeah.
for me, personally, I think that's really good. But I think that ultimately, everything else about the game right now kind of is sucky, which is why I'm kind of like,
Well,
I'll still
okay, so
play, but
let me finish this thought here, though. Back to that, I still tank in Foxhole because I enjoy teaching new players how to tank. That is one of my favorite things to do. I like sharing that knowledge. I like passing it on, and I like watching people develop to be good players in that, right? With the knowledge that
I
I gave to them and things. Teaching new players is one of my favorite things to do in Foxhole.
so
Still, it's
I
something
I
I
very much
love.
agree with you there. The thing is that I hate teaching new players to tank. If I'm like, I love teaching new players infantry because there's a ton of like little things that you don't think about as a new player because there's no tutorial and this is just shit you have to like learn trial by fire kind of. But it's like if you teach them, okay, don't hold right click all the time. Be super careful about positioning and like knowing where your enemies are. Try to like generally take advantage of cover for stability. Try to like there are moments where you gotta just like full send it and hold W, or like count the enemy's
Hmm.
bullets so you know when a good opportunity to rush might be, that kind of shit, right? But like, and then you get into tanks. Oh god, I feel like I'm gonna have a stroke if I do tanks with new players sometimes. Oh my
Hmm.
lord.
I don't know. It's something about like also like doing like very basic stuff like when they're like whoa when you blow up a fucking rifle pillbox or a foxhole for the first time and shit, like no that
Ah,
rocks, but
fuck.
yeah.
You've reminded me of the first time light tanks were released, and I literally, I think it was day one of light tanks being released, and I unfortunately was not there at the start of the campaign to see them unlocked, but I think I got in like one of the first light tanks, because I think I showed up right as they got unlocked in this campaign server, and
Hmm.
I got in a light tank and we just went around with like three of us and blew some stuff up, and I just remember it being fun. And this
Yeah.
is this is a fucking 2017 ancient fucking like just shooting was really fun. Man, what a different time like
Mm-hmm.
that was though. Holy shit. Like
Yeah, Foxhole. Infantry
I
combat
no,
was
not even
definitely
for
a lot
Foxhole,
better
for
back
me
then.
too, right?
For
But
yeah, for
I don't know
you,
it
yeah.
was both though, but
But man, yeah.
like yeah.
Would you agree
I
with that though? That infantry combat was a lot better back then too. I
people
don't know.
oh, there was so I was in FOD recently. Someone it was Derp had said to me, "Did you sign off on this like combat change for infantry, right?" And the
Mhm.
change I don't know which changes he was specifically talking about. I think it had to do with suppression and cover and stuff. And cuz he said this because I was in the closed testing stuff. And I don't know if the closed testing stuff doesn't like exists anymore. I don't think it does because they said they closed it, and the reason it used to exist was mostly for getting like footage for like update trailers. Like if you look at the Foundation of War update with AKA point 19 or point 20 with battle tanks, or if you look to like even earlier commercials or like not commercials trailers for the game, a lot of those players were just like literally people from the closed testing server that they pinged and said, "Okay, we're gonna like do it like this." And they recently said that they just don't have to do that anymore because, or they didn't recently say that. Now, I'm getting it confused with Bear talking about it. But basically, they have like this whole thing where when they were showing, do you remember when they were showing off like the new camera with entrenched?
Mhm.
There was
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, there was a whole
So,
there was part of there was a tag there that like they were showing off what it was like because one of the devs was like in a battle at Jade Cove and just like sat back and used the new camera in live amidst a bunch of other players fighting and were like showing how they like can get trailer footage now, right? By just like observing battles and just using that as like footage that they then like clip and upload on Twitter. And it's really a thing of like I think they I don't think that this server exists anymore or this group exists anymore. But I was in it for the specific test of like combat changes, and to say if I signed off on it, I don't. So the devs took feedback from every single person, and there was around 100 people I think involved in that test. I don't actually have an exact number. It might
mm,
have been closer to like 60 or 80 or something, but it was a fair few amount. Um, it was a fair few, but what ended up happening was I don't know if there's an NDA to talk about this. I won't even talk about specifics. To say the least, things were very wacky in their initial implementation. Um, but I don't know if I signed off on this and agreed that it was good or thought like what I do know is I know I said that the initial stuff that they were doing was bad and that it could be better if they did some tweaks, and I actually do like a lot of the like new infantry combat systems like cover and stability. That said, if I were to say if it's better now than it used to be, I don't know. I think that the system could be fairly similar, but the way that all the numbers are is like most weapons have very high like like aim cones by default that they then lower to. And my big thing is that I think infantry combat could be better if there were more of a focus on like a differentiation between offensive and more defensive guns, where defensive guns had like a bonus where they get where when they're in cover they gain when they're in cover or prone or something they gain stability a lot faster than offensive guns. But offensive guns have like
mhm.
by default like higher accuracy, but like then the more defensive ones had like higher mag, better fire rate, or like other bonuses or whatever, just to like make them just so that like the offensive ones had like less killing potential, but like better for pushing with, right? And like that
Yeah.
seems to be what they were gonna do with the fiddler versus like the lyre, but the fiddler is still kind of a bit jank to be running and gunning with compared to the old SMG, which was not a ton better. I think people, well, I don't know what people remember the old SMG being, but it was not crazy, but it was definitely better than the current fiddler. And then like
Mm.
on the topic of other stuff, like I think the best change that they ever made for infantry combat was nerfing the shotgun because that thing was a piece of shit. Fuck the shotgun and fuck anyone that wants it to be what it used to be. You you don't
Dude,
understand how
the
bad that made
shotgun,
infantry
dude,
combat.
I loved the shotgun back then, dude. That
Okay,
was
what I'm
so much
hearing is
fun
that you
using it.
have no skill. Okay?
No, 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 no. When you could shed just because you couldn't hit me at night or you weren't suspecting it at night, dude. If you just had a dude, I killed shotgunners with my fists back in the day, man. I'd wrestle them to the ground, throw them in a headlock, choke them
Okay,
out. But you just
that's
gotta,
something you
man.
can do, but let's be real. 90% of shotgun encounters ended the same way. The shotgun would kill two people, and then he would either go on to kill another four people, or another shotgun would take him down.
I
Every
think
single fucking shotgun encounter ended with a shotgun.
I
It
think
never it
shotguns
never
are.
didn't. Either
I think shotguns need to be buffed a little bit more to the point where they can still one shot, maybe, but not with great range. Probably like 10 meters, I would
I
say, would be a
think
pretty good
so.
range.
I honestly, my honest opinion on the shotgun is I just think it needs to be removed because it's entirely bait. There's no way that they can make the like they could theoretically make the shotgun balanced, but I do not have faith that that's something that can happen. I just it's one of those things where it's like when you look at
Uh,
something like the sniper, which went from somewhat tedious to get, but relatively balanced, to insanely fucking overpowered to unusable, or like relatively fucking
well, like
like
if it
super
think about it like
dumpster,
this, if
right?
it's a, I mean, there's no issue with it if both teams have it and it's good,
No,
right?
no,
Like
no.
I
That
don't
is
think
that is
that's a
untrue. That is
problem. Like
completely untrue.
I don't know.
Okay, balance is
Ha,
more than just like one team versus another. There's also you have to keep in mind the feel of stuff. If you have a weapon that is extremely easy to use and extremely effective, like the old shotgun was, that can like go and wipe entire squads with like no effort, and like people think, oh, I hate shadow dancing because they're like not actually good at the game. They say that today, motherfucker, if you look at the old shotgun, every single motherfucker is going to be suddenly dancing. Okay? Because, like, shotgun was the ultimate dancing weapon because you did not have to fucking aim. And, like, it was a guaranteed hit 90% of the time if you were in range. Like, the rifle might have had better range if you were dancing, but the shotgun was a guarantee. And a huge stagger at that. So it's like, I don't know, man. Do you not do you oh no, you already said you liked it cuz you were bad at infantry, you motherfucker.
No, no, I wasn't bad at infantry.
You
I loved the
were.
shotgun because it felt good. I don't know.
No.
I'd love to run into
I
cities. Cliche. I was
every
never bad
single
at infantry.
experience I
God damn
had
it! I was an I was
you
on
were an F
Tox. Okay, I was on FCL. I was a goddamn FCL badass. All right, I have Bannon and
I
Drunkle commentating over me.
bro, there's
All
something
right.
so it wouldn't happen till like 2023 at this point, but I so badly want like an old school Foxhole event. I want like I there I wish the devs could like give us like old Dead Harvest, but like updated with
Hmm.
newer mechanics and shit. And people have said like, oh, they couldn't do it because technical reasons, because coding a third faction or whatever. They could just reskin one faction as humans and the other as zombies, right? Realistically, but like. It would be a huge investment of dev time to get something that you only have for like a week or two, right? And
Anyways,
I think like what would be really cool. This is a
Lek,
complete like yeah.
let me stop us here and say we have gone over the 45 minutes
I
and
know.
it's it's time to do the Discord Nitro thing and then it's time to wrap
Oh,
up. So, listen,
how about
Discord
how about?
Nitro for this week. You want to do it or should I do it?
I think I did it last week.
You did it
But
last week. Okay.
oh, I was gonna use it as an excuse to keep going on a tangent. So I'll let you go
Cool. Cool.
first.
So, let's see here. Let's go purple haze nail polish is the thing, okay? Replay that last few moments if
Nope.
you missed that.
Nope. You're
Comment
not
that
allowed.
down below. No, no, yeah, I'm not allowed to repeat it.
No, no, not
So
no, no,
just
not you. You're not.
no.
No, they're
Oh
not
yeah, oh
allowed to
yeah,
rewind. No
yeah.
rewinding.
You're not allowed to
Okay.
rewind. Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
don't
Okay,
alt
no
tab back.
rewinding. Don't
Stay
do that.
tabbed
Don't all
into
tab
your
back.
game
Yeah,
or
don't
something that
tab
you're
back.
actually
Hmm.
interested in. Don't
Yep.
tab back
And
to
or
here.
comment it. Or you either have to comment it on down below or send it to me over Discord. You have my Discord if you're in FOD.
Isn't
Sigil
Discord
and
better
stuff like
because you
that.
get timestamps? Like
Yeah, I got timestamps.
with
Yeah,
YouTube, you
but
don't within the hours,
dude,
but
it was
like
literally like 45 minutes after we released last video. I got like El Sal hit me up and was like, "Hey, here's the blueberry goblin godfather, whatever it was."
yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh shit," gave him it. And then
Yeah,
yeah,
just to make it so that
dude,
people can't like wind to the end and we have it like a little bit
yeah,
after.
we're gonna
Let me
talk a
just
little bit.
finish off this
Yeah.
tangent about Dead Harvest in
Mhm.
current year. I think what they could do is they could do it like what TF2 has for its Halloween mode and make it like also a thing that they do on like full moons or some shit or like have it be like an event like Relics. I don't know how they'd code it to be like an event that they could easily integrate within the live game, like where they can just like add a button push turn it into Dead Harvest mode. But like I want like an old school Humans vs Zombies Dead Harvest so bad, man. Holy shit, what I would give to get that back. Like look, I'm super excited for 1.0. I'm super excited for the naval update, but like my next big ask after that is Dead Harvest, but like good. Oh my god. Were you there for that? Were you there for the original one? You probably were,
Yes,
right?
I
Yeah.
was. I loved the original Dead Harvest. The original Dead Harvest, where it was colonials and wardens versus zombies, was fucking amazing. I think that brought the community together a lot, and I think we need to do more of that shit.
I think
So, a
yeah.
future thing we need to talk about is resistance phase, and I think that I want that to be the topic of the next video or something like that because I have a lot of ideas to make resistance phase an entirely different, like a 3-day mode, 4-day mode that might even be better
Yeah,
than
no,
what's
I
it
mean,
called?
Resistance mode has
Okay.
nothing going for it. It's a blank
Yeah.
canvas to talk about.
Hmm.
So I'm super down for convo on like
Yeah.
ideas for shit because
But I
I don't have many, but I'd love
yeah,
to hear
but
yours.
resistance I think it should be sort of like a Project Reality like Insurgent versus Blue 4 mode with that, but I'll explain that more
I
later.
have no idea
Another
what you
time,
just
like a
said.
conversation for another time. Yeah, but we'll explain it. But
Yeah,
it should be like Takistan Life in what's it called? In never
Pakistan
mind.
life.
We'll talk about that later. Takistan Life.
I
No,
don't-
Takistan Life from it was an Arma 2 mod where it was you'd have like gorillas and then other things walking around. But it
anyway,
should be a guerrilla
yeah,
warfare mode. But anyways,
we
we'll
can save
talk
the
about that
ideas
later.
for next
Save that later.
episode.
Yeah.
But if anyone
But
wants to like talk about resistance phase ideas, hit us up. We'll see about
mhm,
getting you on the next episode. We have
yeah.
yeah, it'll probably we usually record on weekends like we are doing right now. But anyway, Fonzie said he
Yeah.
had 45 minutes. I ever so greedily took an extra 15. What are you gonna do about it? I don't know. Hey,
Uh,
bada
you
boom.
know.
Hey, brother. Okay. Anyway,
Anyways,
catch
see
y'all on the
y'all.
flip side. Have a good
Goodbye.
one. Stay
Mhm.
foxy. And
Yep.
we need a slogan. What's our closer?
Um.
It should be.
Dog shit
It's gotta be a
game.
trench
No.
pun.
I don't know. I don't have any trench puns for you, man.
It's like, well, stay foxy, or there's
Yeah.
that's a foxhole one. We need our own brand, you know.
Do they have a do they on the Forbidden show have a slogan? I don't know.
I
You'll have to
I've been so busy. I've not watched more than like 20 minutes.
yeah,
It's good listening to them, but like
yeah.
I literally don't have the time to that I'd like to watch.
Yeah,
Um,
on redacted
what's funny
podcast.
is yeah, no. But anyway, for
Goodbye, yo. Yep.
actually, are we doing Resistance Phase next week, or do we want to save that for like even
We
further
can save
back?
that another time. Yeah, we
Okay,
can
yeah,
save
we'll
it.
put that in the blank
Just
pocketbooks because
remind
I
me.
actually have some ideas for next
Yeah.
week. But anyway, uh, talk trenchy? No, that's like
No,
that's
not talk.
terrible. That's terrible.
All right.
No, the Off the top, off the dome, off the dome, off the cranium.
I have
What is it?
nothing off the dome for you, man.
No.
Okay.
Whatever.
Uh,
Well, ladies and gents, boys and girls, fellas, fellettes, all that shit, grass touchers, schizophrenics, we salute you and keep on keeping on. This is not a catchphrase yet. We'll figure it out.
yeah. All right. Bye.